Welcome to the Base Path Podcast, brought to you by New England Baseball Journal. I'm your host, Dan Guttenplan. Today's guest has built one of the most consistent high school programs in Massachusetts, Braintree High coach Bill O'Connell. Braintree recently drew the number 4 seed in the MIAA D1 state tournament, and they will open against the winner of a preliminary round game on Sunday. Coach, thanks so much for joining the podcast.
Hey, thanks very much. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, first I'll just say today we're getting together for the podcast on Friday, right before the start of the state tournament. So if you're listening to this later on, you may have already played that first round game. So we'll talk about the season in general, and then, some of the top teams in the Division I tournament who I would think will probably survive until next week. So none of this will be outdated. But first of all, tell us about your season. You guys are coming in at 17-3, is that right?
Yeah, we finished the regular season 17-3 in the Bay State League. We were co-champs with Walpole on the Herget Division side.
Yep. And what was that season like for you? I know it looked like you kind of got hot right at the start of the season, and it kind of sustained the momentum right through the end.
Yeah, we did. I think we went on a run to win 12 in a row. Then we lost 2 games, 2 walk-off dog piles by Wellesley and Natick. So we got humbled real quickly. And since then, we've gone on a 5-game win streak. So really credit to our seniors for keeping us locked in and regrouping. We definitely have a younger type of team. It's a good balance. It's a great mix. But our pitching staff, our top 4 guys are all returning guys for next year, which is great. But we certainly had some seniors that really stepped up and had great seasons for us.
That's great. Yeah, and you have some experience with making state tournament runs. You were the Boston Herald Coach of the Decade from 2010 to 2019. You've won state championships before. When do you start to get a sense like, hey, this is a special team, this is a team that might be able to make a run here in the tournament?
That's a good question. I think a lot goes into that. I think just when you think you have a good team, it's baseball. I think one of my best teams I've ever had that I thought talent-wise was back in 2012. We were 16-4. I had a kid going to Vanderbilt named Pat Delano, pitcher, with a great group of players. And we got upset in the first round. Severian, who was 10-10, and we were heartbroken. But we really thought that team had a great chance. And conversely, back in 2016, after winning the Super 8 and 15, I think we lost 7 starters, and we were 5-4 at one point, and we got hot, and we ended up going back to back in the Super 8. So I don't know. I think a lot of things have to go right for you. A lot of luck. You obviously got to have great talent, and momentum's a big word in the game. So I think a lot goes into that. So I don't know if there's an easy answer to really predict. I think especially in baseball. You can go up against an opponent who's got a great pitcher or just gets hot, and your line guys find them defensively, and they make some plays, and you can be upset. I think it's the one sport that it's really tough to predict who can really win the whole thing. I think in other sports you can kind of lock in maybe a football, or basketball if they have a couple studs, but I think baseball is really unpredictable at times.
Especially with the nature of the single elimination tournament. Like you look at MLB, a lot of these playoff series are 7-game series. And now, with the single elimination tournament, like you said, you see somebody else's opposing pitcher who's a D1 commit. They have a great day. You could be out just like that after a great season. I used to cover a coach up in Newburyport who would say, like, his goal for the season was league championship. And then he would place less emphasis on the state tournament because he said, with single elimination, anything can happen. And you don't want the season to be considered a failure. So the league championship is something that over the course of a 20-game season, usually the cream will rise to the top and the best team will come out on top. State tournament, anything can happen. Who are some of these teams that you think will be really tough in a single elimination format in Division I? I know BC High got the 1 seed. St. John Shrewsbury has been great all year. Zavarian is number 3, Leominster 5, Taunton, 2-time defending state champion at 6. Any of those teams, do you think the single elimination tournament really favors?
Well, I think the team with experience and with pitching depth will have the biggest advantage, no doubt. Especially with with the 7-inning game, you can get a complete game, an outing out of one of your studs, and with the pitch count, kind of really limits what you can do. So I think teams that are deep, that can go 3 or 4 deep and don't have to worry about the pitch count, I think that's a huge advantage for those teams. And from what we've seen so far, BC High looks really deep with their staffs. Taunton obviously has a lot of guys back, and Sunshine Tuesday has been doing it pretty much the whole season. So, I think the MIAA got it right in the fact that I think this tournament and the seedings really kind of work out, and teams are where they should be. I do like the weighted formula, whatever that mystery formula is that nobody can figure out. I think it really gets it right with the seedings. And in the past, you had to deal with really just the best teams in the South or the North, and you play the Central Mass or the Western teams in the finals. But now that it's one big tournament, it's this Division I tournament is an absolute gauntlet if you really look at all the teams from 1 to 32.
Yeah, and they just used to seed it by record too. So, if a team was in a lesser conference and went, 19-1, they'd get the number 1 seed. Like you said, I do think it makes it a more complete picture of who the top teams were, who they played. BC High, obviously, in that Catholic conference, had a really tough grind. Zavarian was there too. But like you said, Walpole was a really tough opponent this year. You guys have had your matchups in that conference. Braintree historically has had a lot of success in the state tournament, a lot of success, in the regular season. I wanted to ask you about Don Fredericks, who was kind of part of establishing that tradition at Braintree, and he was the head coach before you. He passed away a couple of weeks ago during this baseball season. What type of impact did he have on the Braintree program?
I think it's well documented. I had a couple of interviews and expressed my feelings and gratitude and relationship I had with Donnie. He did so much for not only Braintree High School, not just the baseball, but the whole community of Braintree. But the baseball world as an official and an ambassador of the sport. There was a time when the sport was suffering, and he got together and created the Super 8 that really jumpstarted the interest back in high school baseball. And that was just an incredible idea that he and Kirk had to get that thing going. But Donnie, just in particular, was a tremendous mentor to me. I mean, he's a guy I looked up to. I played against him when I played at Walpole High School as a kid. Donnie was a head coach, and he was just an intimidating figure because his teams are so dominant, and he was just such a strong finger on the other sideline. So I knew him as a former player. Then I became a colleague, and he became a big mentor to me. He'd come into the office all the time, and we talk about the games and wins and losses and et cetera. And he let me have it even to this day. If I screwed up as a third base coach, he let me have it, and I loved it. I loved everything about him, and he's certainly going to be missed.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about Team Massachusetts too. You're going to be coaching Team Massachusetts in the high school national championship. National championship sponsored by Geico. That's going to be obviously after the season in June. But, that has a lot of interest from our audience, a lot of people that are interested in how that team gets selected and how, the players that are representing Team Massachusetts. How did that come about that you were the head coach of that team, and what goes into selecting the players?
Yeah, so actually, Geico has withdrawn as a sponsorship. So the new sponsorship now is Stinger Sports.
Oh, okay.
They are the title sponsor and the official uniform and bat provider for the series out in Omaha. Mm-hmm. So that's been exciting news. So basically, the evaluation process it's been a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. This doesn't just happen. There's a lot that goes into this. We're trying to just keep the integrity and the honesty to fulfill what they've asked us to do. Our evaluation really started in the fall, and it's been ongoing with meetings and visits and going to watch games, getting out and talking to people. And as far as team selection, we start with high school coach recommendations, college coach recommendations, pro scouts, AAU coaches, the elite AAU coaches, New England Baseball Journal, Perfect Game, all the listings and all the rankings. So if you can imagine, we just have big spreadsheets of all the rankings that everybody has, and we kind of compile them, and we start just doing background checks on everybody and seeing where kids are going to school and how they're doing, talk to their high school coaches, talk to their prep coaches. And, we had a really big list, and it kind of shrunk down. And then we try to create a positional type of situation. You can't just take the best 18 to 20 guys. This is a tournament to win. It's not a sign up and play. It's not a showcase, although it ends up being a really good showcase to have the kids get out there and get on national TV and compete against some of the best teams and the best players in the country. But it's a tournament to try to win. So it's a little bit different than a typical showcase tournament. So again, there's a lot that goes into it. The coaching staff's been unbelievable. Steve Haley at BC High, and Jamie Walsh, my assistant coach here at Braintree High, and Mike Denise is going to be like our sports information director, athletic director out there when we go out there to help us with all the stuff that goes on the side. So to answer your question, there's been a lot of work with the evaluation process, team selection, and very impartial. I don't have anybody on my team, and we've had a pretty good team. So, we're trying to do what's right to take the best players in Mass. And of course, we're going to have some kids that are really good players that are not on it. And, that's the unfortunate part. But we think we've got a really good list of players, a deserving group of players that were highly recommended through college coaches and high school coaches and pro coaches.
Do you find it difficult to get guys to commit to that, or have you found that guys are jumping at the opportunity to do it? Because it is, that last weekend in June can be a busy time in the travel ball baseball season too.
Absolutely. And I think last year we were kind of worried about that because I know there's a big WWB down in Florida, and we thought that was going to be an issue. But I got to be 100% honest with you. Every kid we've asked has committed.
Wow.
We haven't had last year's team. I mean, Mav Rizzi, Matt Conte, and all the best of them. A lot of great ones out there that played for us last year. Papetti, Lawson, Ruggiero, Gallo, all of them. Every guy we asked, yes, coach, I'm in. There was no hesitation, because I think the draw was they really wanted to play on ESPN, number one, right? You want to play live on TV, and the fact that the locations where it was at last year was at Dallas Baptist University. This year they upped the ante big time. We're playing at Omaha at Charles Schwab Stadium 2 days after the College World Series, and from what we understand, ESPN is going to promote this series. They've moved the broad. They wanted ESPN kind of controls when we play, and it was so popular last year. ESPN wanted us to have our semifinals and finals on a weekend, kind of more in prime time. So that's been really awesome and great for this organization.
That's great. Have you been to Omaha before?
Never been.
It's supposed to be like a magical scene there right at the end of the College World Series too. That'll be a great experience for the kids.
Yeah, we're right there. We stay at the Hilton right across the street. I guess it's walking distance across the street from Charles Schwab Stadium, which is great. Last year we had to travel a little bit on a bus. So the main stadiums we're going to use is Charles Schwab, University of Nebraska, Omaha. That's a site, and then Creighton Prep is an off-site too. So those are turf facilities in case we have inclement weather.
And do you know what teams will you face off against? What would the journey be like if you were to make a run, to a national championship?
Yeah, so I have the list here. They haven't officially set the schedule yet, but right now there's 12 teams. Oklahoma, Nebraska. So, for example, there's a lot of South, there's a lot of Midwest, and there's a lot of West. So most of the teams' rosters are California, Arizona, Hawaii. A lot of Pac-10 commits. Down south, you got Florida, Arizona, Midwest, down south as well, and out west. We got Texas, Georgia, Nebraska, Oklahoma. So it's really cool. All these states their recruits are all regional. So the rosters are complete. And when you look at these rosters, it's just really impressive. All Big Ten, all SEC, all ACC, and up north here we have kind of a collection of all our schools of Northeastern. You can see our roster online, but BC, Northeastern, Duke, UMass Amherst, Notre Dame, Penn State. So we're a little bit regional as well up here in the Northeast region. But the schedule hasn't officially been set. But what they're going to do is have 3 brackets of 4, and the 4 best teams will advance to the semifinals. And again, that'll all be live on TV.
Netting Professionals is proud to be the official netting partner of the Cape Cod League and the New England Collegiate Baseball League. Netting Professionals is in the sports business of improving athletic programs one facility at a time. Netting Professionals designs, fabricates, and installs custom netting, wall padding, windscreen, batting practice equipment, and much more for high schools, colleges, commercial facilities, and stadiums throughout the United States, while providing high-quality products and great service to numerous baseball programs throughout the New England area. To learn more and to speak to a Netting Professionals representative today, visit them at nettingpros.com. Remember, when it comes to netting, it's Netting Professionals.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students can earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
Attention coaches, need baseball bat bags that last? Meet No Errors, crafting premium quality bags since 2004, the top choice for durability. Choose from stock bags for quick delivery or our semi-custom program for personalized logos in just 10 to 12 days. For a unique team look, try our full custom program. Let No Errors design your next team bags. Visit noerrors.com. That's no-errors.com for details. No Errors, where durability meets style.
Looking to keep up with all the latest news and information on New England baseball? New England Baseball Journal and baseballjournal.com are the premier resources for information and inspiration on the New England baseball scene. Have every issue of New England Baseball Journal, the magazine, delivered to your home or office. And don't forget to stay in the game every day with a digital subscription to baseballjournal.com to receive baseball coverage on clubs, college commits, prep and high school, Division 1, 2, and 3 colleges, showcases, rankings, and much more. Get in the game and behind the scenes now by going to baseballjournal.com. Just click on the subscribe button and start the subscription that is right for you today. New England Baseball Journal is a Seamans Media publication. Seamans Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.
I've always been fascinated about the difference between coaching, like a Braintree high where you're doing it over the course of a season and you're trying to establish your culture and you have team building exercises and things like that. And then all of a sudden, this is kind of like an all-star game where, you get these guys for basically a weekend. How much of the coaching goes into it? Like, are you saying, hey, here's how we're going to do the cutoff, hit the cutoff man. Here's how we're going to play it. If, it's opposite field, this is how we're going to, these are the signs, signals, or are you kind of just trying to get out of the way and say, hey, these guys are great players. Let's just see what they have.
Yeah, I think that's it right there. We're trying to stay out of their way. They're great players. And a lot of these guys know each other. They play on the same AUs or they played with each other. They're crossing paths all the time, most of these guys. So they're all terrific players. They're here on the team for a reason. They're committed to their school, their schools for a reason. Right now we have 13 Division I commits out of our 18, and we have 5 guys. The other 5 guys have offers on the table. They haven't made decisions yet. So these are all terrific players, and really, we're just trying to manage the game. We're just trying to manage the pitching staff. We're trying to just get kids in and out, and as well as trying to compete and win the game. But we're just letting the kids play, and we'll have a scrimmage, or we'll have a workout or 2 beforehand to kind of get used to everybody a little bit, let them know kind of how we want to play the game. We want to play aggressive. We want them to, drive the ball, but we want to run, and, we want to try to be aggressive and all that good stuff. So we're going to have a practice or 2 before we go out there for June 26th to the 30th.
Nice. And what does the rest of your summer look like? I know a lot of these prep coaches are doing recruiting in the summer. What's it like for a public school baseball coach? Are you affiliated with any travel ball program, or what do you do for the rest of the summer?
25 years ago, I started because I had a young family, and I couldn't do that AU circuit and spend all that time away. So I created a business. It's called Extra Bases Summer Baseball Camp, and it's grown to a 7-week baseball camp in Braintree and in Walpole, and it's been very successful. And I got Chris Costello, my assistant coaches, and all our players at Walpole and Braintree as assistant coaches. So we do that all summer. I enjoy it. It's 7 weeks of the summer, so kind of stay home, close to home, help work with young guys, and run a little business, and that's what I've decided to do. There's been opportunities to do some other things, but I really enjoy this. I enjoy the time hanging with the kids at camp and spending more time with my family in the summer and doing things that I like to do. Yeah,
absolutely. And now you mentioned earlier about the Super 8. Are you missing the Super 8? This time of year where they don't have the Super 8 anymore. Is that something you'd like to see them go back to, or do you feel like this weighted, D1 tournament without, sectionals, I guess, where you have the North, South, West, and Central? What would be your preference?
Well, I certainly would love it back, and I think a lot of coaches would. But certainly not under the current format that they're running things where it would be a single elimination. I don't think anybody would want to play in a Super 8 single elimination.
Right.
So if it was a double elimination, if it was 7 innings, I think coaches would go for it. But it's certainly got to be a double elimination tournament if you're going to pull the best 8 teams. And it was the greatest time. I think everybody that was involved in it will agree how much fun it was. Getting all the best teams, because you just don't know. A couple of years ago, we had the great Austin prep teams, and you got Walpole right now in Division II, who's a heavy favorite with Plymouth North, and in Division III, you got some powerhouses with St. Mary's and some of the other schools that are in there. So it would have been great to have the best teams play in a tournament and see who the true champion is, as opposed to having 3 or 4 teams that think they are the best. I think that was the best thing about the Super 8. But that's out of our hands. I know it's going to be up for discussion again, the MIAA. So I guess it's going to depend on what stipulations there are to it. But if it was going to happen, it would have to be a double elimination tournament to make it worthwhile, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier, travel baseball, that's gotten a lot more competitive, I would say, over, probably your career as a coach, where, it used to be a lot more Legion and local kind of regional play. And now it's guys going down to Georgia and guys going down to Florida. When you get to the end of your season and, guys have thrown, maybe 40 innings for you throughout the season, what type of communication do you have to say, hey, maybe to go a little bit lighter this summer, we don't need you throwing another 40 innings over the summer? Or how do you make sure guys are protecting themselves going into the summer?
I think kids are more educated nowadays, and obviously coaches are, especially at the AAU level. So there's got to be communication that's going on. I think every pitcher that's playing AAU and club and all that stuff, they have a routine that they follow. So, everyone's, we're all creatures of habit. So I think a kid nowadays will understand most of our pitches. I think, our top 3 guys this year, Joyce, Greaves, and DeRoche, we pitched them once a week. That's all we just did. We weren't coming in relief like the old days where you'd start and you close and you start and you close. So I think we've got away from that at Braintree just to try to develop more pitches, and we have. But even today, I'm looking at my stats right now. Luke Joyce, our top pitcher, freshman, who was 6-1 this year. He only pitched 44 innings this year. I mean, not too long ago, that same kid was probably pitching 75 innings before pitch count. So pitch count has been pretty good. It's forcing you to use other players, but I also think education's been great. I think us learning, how to take care of arms and keep the kids healthy has developed and minimized innings. So I think they're able to pitch more innings in the summertime as long as they have adequate rest.
And then one more question for you. College recruiting has changed quite a bit over the last few years, particularly with the transfer portal. There's a lot of college guys going from program to program, and the college recruiting seems to be more at the college level now, where you're getting guys who have experience playing either D1 or D3, but have had success already in college. Also, the NCAA made a change to the earliest time that you can commit now is August 1st before your junior year. So you don't have a lot of, or you don't have any freshmen and sophomores making commitments anymore. How do you think all that has changed for guys within your program that are trying to get offers from college coaches?
Yeah, I really do think it's for the better. I've seen some situations where kids committed to a school based on what they did after their freshman and sophomore year, and they never really developed any further. And that college at the back end of it decided to move on from them or bring them on campus and then cut them. So I think I think it's really going to help protect the kid. There's nothing like a kid who's excited to go to a place and you get on campus. Next thing you know, there's 50 kids on the roster and it becomes a tryout in the fall. And then at the end of the fall, you've been cut or you've been asked to, we no longer want you in the program. I've heard some horror stories. So I think it's good. I think it's going to give the kid time to develop, and it'll give a school time to see the kid more, to be really convinced if they're going to commit to him that he is the right guy and he is at the right spot. So I do think that is beneficial to hold off on that commitment. And I'm sure the college coaches love it too. They don't have to get out and chase around, 8th graders and 9th graders and miss out on people.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I really appreciate taking the time to catch up with us here right before the start of the state tournament. Would you be up for doing our 3 up, 3 down segment where we just talk about general interest baseball questions, the way that you fell in love with the sport?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll do that. I'm going to introduce you to our producer, David Yaz.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for enthusiastically agreeing to do 3 up, 3 down. No, we know you're going to do fantastic, Coach, but strap in for 3 up, 3 down.
3 up, 3 down.
All right, as usual, 3 questions for our 2 panelists. They're completely unprepared for these questions. Coach, you're the guest. You get to go first. What's the best example of outstanding base running you have ever witnessed? That you can recall, of course. So this could be in a Major League Baseball game or someone you've coached, or maybe it was even you as a player. What comes to mind, Coach?
I think anticipation. I mean, we coach base running, but some of the guys who are the best base runners aren't the fastest guys. So I think the guys that are very instinctive, they are the best base runners, whether it's reacting to a ball in the infield or a pass ball or a dirt ball. So I would say just anticipation and being a student of the game to understand, to become a better base runner, you don't have to have great speed.
Do any memories jump out at you, like maybe somebody scoring from second base on a wild pitch or anything like that?
Yeah. With this spontaneous thing, I really need time to think about things. So I'm going to say no. I'm just going to stay with my philosophy.
Okay, we like your answer. Dan, how about you?
I'd probably go with, I know Coach was saying speed doesn't always matter, but Ricky Henderson, when he used to steal bases, there was like no wasted movement at all. You would just see that back foot. He would turn his ankle, and then all of a sudden it was just straight to the next baseline. Every movement of his body had a purpose, and it would get him to the base so quickly. He got great jumps on the pitcher. So I would just say watching him steal bases, you were like, man, you can't do it any better than that.
I would only add as a friendly footnote that the year he broke the record for stolen bases in a season, the day before he broke the record for caught stealings in a season. So, you know, Ricky giveth and Ricky taketh away.
What was it, 130?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
And I think it was something like 30 caught stolen or something like that. We don't have the books in front of us. But anyway, let's move on to question number 2. Dan, you get to go first on this one. When it comes to baseball's mysterious hidden ball trick, are you pro or con when teams pull the hidden ball trick? And can you remember any that stick out in your mind?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, no, I think it's great. What would stick out in my mind? Let me think. I know, let's see. I'm trying to remember when I've seen it get pulled off before. I just can't think of an example off the top of my head.
The one that comes up a lot on clips is Todd Helton. And he just did the extremely simple after he took a throw from the pitcher. He just pump faked the ball back to the pitcher and then just looked and waited for the runner to step off just an inch and tagged him out. Yeah. But the ones that are more interesting are the ones where I think the infielder takes the throw back from the outfielder and just never gives it to the pitcher. No one realizes it.
Yeah, we used to do it once in a while so when you're in majors, which was like 10 to 12 years old, you can't take a lead until the pitch is, I think until it crosses the plate. And then once you move up to 13 to 15, you can start taking a lead. And we used to do it once in a while, like early in the season, opening day, where, they kind of meet on the mound and then the first baseman goes back to first base and then the guy takes the lead and you tag him. And then everybody kind of realizes, like, the minute you hit the base, call timeout, make sure you identify the ball and then, track it the whole way.
Now, in that case, in a manner of speaking, it's the runner's fault because the runner, I think, is coached not to take a lead until the pitcher puts his foot on the rubber. Now, if the pitcher can't put his foot on the rubber if he doesn't have the ball, right? That's
right.
A balk, I think.
Yes.
Anyway, I got a coach right here. We should be talking to him. Coach, your thoughts, hidden ball trick.
So we love it. We use it quite a bit. It's kind of ironic you asked this question, but because that umpire blew it the other day. We had it done perfectly. We were playing Milton, and the best time to do it is when, this guy's on base and a guy hits a double. We kind of set it up more around second base where one of their players smoked the double. We get the ball in. He's all pumped up, giving his signs to his dugout, and he walked off the base. We had hidden ball on, and unfortunately, the base umpire missed it. He was looking off into space, and my shortstop screaming, "Oh, bumping!" as he's trying to hold the runner back from going to second base. And needless to say, little heated discussion, middle of the diamond, but end up losing the argument. And so we love it a lot. The umpire, the base ump, and he knew it. He knew we missed it. He told us after the game. But at the end of the day, the base umpire, he's supposed to watch the ball no matter where it is, go back to the pitcher, and then he knows hidden ball's off. And, it's easily to miss. I mean, I didn't even know it was on, to be honest with you. We talk about it all the time. I didn't even know we had it on. My players, we talk about it and they pulled it off. But
is that something?
The greatest one we pulled off, I think that was one the other day versus Milton, but one that did actually work. And Charlie, up at St. John Shrewsbury, still remembers it to this day. It was in the Super 8. They were down here. And again, a similar scenario. They had a little momentum going. We pulled off the hidden ball, got out of the inning, and kind of diffused their rally. And, to this day, he said that was the biggest play of the game.
Is that something you could furtively mention to the ump before the game? Like, hey, Blue, just keep heads up for the hidden ball trick?
Matter of fact, at the ground rules, when we're at my place, when I do the ground rules, I'll say, okay, 7 innings, we got lights if needed, hidden balls in effect. I'll just kind of throw it out there just to hopefully it gets in the back of their mind. But it's just such a tricky play. Like, it's very natural just to look away and not think it's on. So,
right.
It's how we missed it, but certainly wasn't happy about it.
All right, final question for 3 Up, 3 Down, and Coach will throw this one at you. You're watching a baseball game, and you say to yourself, this is great. Look at this dramatic moment. This could only happen in baseball. What play are you talking about? So I guess I'm asking about sort of what moment captures the thrill of a baseball game that you don't get in other sports. For you, Coach.
Oh, that's me. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were
up.
I thought I got the hook there.
That's okay. You want Dan to go first?
A thrill. The greatest thrill is a walk-off. I mean, a walk-off win, a walk-off hit. When the kid, you see a kid competing, there's the runner on base, you got a pitcher, you got the defense, you got the crowd, you got everybody in the game, and to see a kid deliver with a base hit, and you see the kid's joy as he closts home plate, and they got the dog pile going. I don't think there's anything more exciting in sports than that.
Yeah, I have 3 walk-offs career in my name. They were all in softball, so let's face it, they don't count. But I remember each one distinctly. Coach, as a player, do you remember a walk-off hit that you had?
I mean, yeah, I remember mine, but I'll tell you, my greatest one I witnessed was in 2016. That's how we won the Super 8 for St. John's Prep, where we had it was a tie score, bottom of the 7th, 2 outs. We had the top of the order coming up. We had a walk. We had a base hit, went first and third, and our sophomore Alex Kennedy with 2 outs, 2 strikes, bottom of the 9th, Super 8 championship on the line, ripped a single up the middle, was a walk-off base hit. And
wow.
The rest is history. I mean, that gives me the chills. That was something special.
I got a little chill myself. Yeah. I mean, that's something that both you and the player can tell your grandkids about. That's exciting.
Yeah, and luckily we had New England Baseball Journal there taking a photo. And we have a great photo that we cherish.
Oh, well done, Dan. Dan, how about you? Most exciting play in baseball?
So I was also going to say walk-off just because of the untimed nature of baseball. Right. But I will switch my answer, and this isn't a play, but one of the things I really love about baseball, and it's the only sport that I can think of where you do this, is as a spectator, you're keeping a scorebook, and you're actually learning how to keep score of the game. Usually it's your dad who teaches you. You sit down with him, and you're tracking the whole game. And you would never do that in basketball or football. Like, you're not going to be like, all right, 1st and 10, 3-yard run, with your dad. But it is like baseball, I think, is unique to that bonding between father and son. You're out in the yard having a catch, and then you're learning how to keep the scorebook. All that type of stuff is really cool about baseball, and stuff that I grew up loving is sharing it with my dad. So
yeah, that's a great point. You definitely don't. A fan would never keep score in football. Or what stats or whatever? Like, it wouldn't make sense.
Right?
Do they still hand out programs with the score sheet and a little pencil? I knew they used to. I mean, you got to buy the program, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they used to give out those little, maybe they still do, those little pencils. I remember learning how to keep score, which is excellent.
My grandfather did it every game we ever went to. He would sit there and he would keep score, and he'd be like, that wasn't an error. I don't know why they call it. He was always had a problem with the scorekeeper at some point in the game. It was he was locked in.
Nice.
Yep.
How about the days where they used to give that all-star form at Fenway Park? You go there and you bubble in the all-star picks.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was exciting.
I remember doing that.
I'd rather vote for that than vote for a political candidate. It's more fun. Anyway, you both did terrific on 3 Up, 3 Down. Back to you, Dan, to close things out.
All right. Thanks to our guest, Bill O'Connell, for joining the Base Path Podcast. Rate, review, subscribe to the Base Path Podcast on your preferred platform. Thanks to our producer, David Yaz. The Base Path Podcast is a Seamans Media production.